Hey guys, this is Andy, and today I'll be building my $1,100 video editing PC. Now, for the components, for the CPU, I'll be using the Ryzen 5 3600. Now, this is the best processor all around for value, and that's why I'm using this guy. And for the CPU cooler, I'll just be using the stock cooler that comes with this. It's good enough for now. If I need something better than that, then I'll buy that later, but I think I'll probably just stick with that. I probably won't be manually overclocking the CPU, although I might probably enable the PBO and the auto overclocking. So for the motherboard, I'm using the MSI B450 Tomahawk. This is a pretty nice motherboard that is relatively cheap, but I'm not using XF570 because I don't need PCI Gen 4, as that's just too expensive and not really worth it. So this is the best B450 motherboard that I found, and I got this actually for $65 compared to $115 because I bought this at Micro Center. So for all of you all who want to build a PC, I would recommend going to Micro Center to build it, as you can find a lot of value deals. I saved roughly $160 by going to Micro Center, but not sponsored. So moving on to storage, for the SSD, I'm using a 970 EVO. So the reason I chose this SSD specifically was mainly for the excellent read and write speeds at around 3,000 megabytes per second. And for video editing, it's nice to have some faster storage, which is why I chose this M.2 SSD. And for the hard drive, I needed a lot of storage because video editing takes up a lot of storage. So I got the Seagate Barracuda Compute 4 terabyte hard drive. So I'll just basically be storing all of my files on here. So now moving on to the graphics card. I got the 5700 XT because, well, I edit in DaVinci Resolve, and that is mainly a GPU-based video editing program, which is more balanced compared to Adobe Premiere, as Adobe Premiere relies basically entirely like 99% or 90% on the CPU and 10% on the GPU, whereas Resolve is kind of like gaming and requires like 40% CPU and 60% GPU. So I was looking for a GPU around $400, and I chose the 5700 XT over just the regular 2060 Super, as when it comes to raw performance, 5700 XT does better. And also for DaVinci Resolve specifically, DaVinci Resolve usually prefers AMD over NVIDIA, so all the better to this. And I also got this at Micro Center. I was able to save $50. That's the reason why I went with a stock cooler compared to a aftermarket AIB cooler. That was mainly due to the fact that this one is only at $350 compared to some of the other AIB models, which are around $410 to $450. So I saved a lot of money by going to Micro Center, and that's why I chose the reference blower style cooler. So lastly, the last component is the case. So I chose the H500. It's a nice looking case that has decent airflow and is relatively cheap. So yeah, and you might be noticing one component on here is missing, and that is because my power supply has not arrived yet. I got the, I believe it's the EVGA P2 80 plus platinum rated power supply. I chose that because it's the same price at $85 as the Gold 80 plus gold version, so I just chose the platinum. That has some nice, it's a fully modular power supply with some nice cables. So yeah, that should be arriving hopefully in the next hour. Pray to the UPS gods. But now, without further ado, let's start the build. Oh wait, actually, last thing, I almost forgot the RAM. That's pretty important. So for the RAM, I chose 32 gig kit since since video editing requires a lot of RAM, and 16 gigabytes was like the bare minimum for 1080p, and for 4K, which hopefully I'll be shooting in the future, 32 gig is the minimum, and it's also just better to get more memory But if you're doing like another build that's not for video editing, I'd probably recommend 16 gigabytes. And for the memory speed, I just got 3200 speed memory. And the reason why I got DDR4 3200 was mainly due to the fact that it was kind of cheap. For Ryzen, you should probably choose 3600 memory, but I just found a good deal for this. And although it says $175, I got this for actually $120. So I got a 32 kit for $120, so $60 for 16 gigs, and that's a really good deal, which is why I just stuck with the 16 gigs. And yeah, for you, I would probably recommend just going for the cheapest, at least CL16 memory that's hopefully either at 3200 or 3600, and I recommend for you guys probably 16 gigabytes of memory. So now, truly, without further ado, let's start building.
Make it clap, clap, clap. 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 Make it clap, clap, clap.
so I just finished building the PC, and let's see if it's actually gonna work. Okay, so everything looks fine except for the red CPU LED. Hopefully the CPU works and we didn't like break the CPU, but let's see if we can get into the BIOS. Hey, it worked. So far everything looks fine. The SSD is up, the hard drive is up, and I think the CPU and everything else is okay. So yeah, I'm just gonna cable manage, and then after that, then I'll update you when everything is done.
Make it clap, clap, clap. Make it 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 clap, clap.
So now it's officially a few days later and everything is finally working fine. So although my build overall is working perfectly now, I definitely did encounter some hiccups along the way. During the actual building process, everything was actually really nice and really smooth. However, the problems started happening after I had gotten into BIOS and I had installed Windows. So basically what happened was, once I installed Windows, I wanted to update my BIOS. And after I did update my BIOS and I was just still in the BIOS screen, there was like this new thing that was just like, memory overclocking, try it. So I followed the directions and I tried it out. I basically just overclocked my memory from 3200 megahertz to 3300 megahertz. And unfortunately, the system just crashed completely. It just wouldn't turn on no matter what I tried. The CPU light was on. It was just a complete disaster. But what I ended up doing was I took my handy dandy screwdriver and I reset CMOS or CMOS. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. I just call it CMOS. But after I was able to do that, the PC finally booted and got into a BIOS. However, it wouldn't go into Windows. It would only go to the BIOS. So what I ended up doing after that was I just scrapped my whole Windows and I was just like, screw it, let's just install it again. So then I just went through the whole Windows installation process again. I'm so lucky that I didn't buy a key yet. So yay for me, I guess. After that happened, everything was again working fine until another problem emerged when I was trying to reinstall my AMD graphics 5700 XT drivers at around 70%. Every single time that I tried it, the entire PC would then black screen again, and I could only go back to BIOS, but I couldn't actually turn the PC on and go into Windows. So after that happened, I tried to reinstall Windows multiple times again, and every time, once I get onto the AMD graphics drivers, it would just crash at 70%. So what ended up being my solution was unplugging the GPU and then taking it out of the PCIe 16 slot, and then after I took it out, then I just waited for 10 seconds, put it back in, plugged everything back in, and everything just worked out fine. So overall, my PC building experience was pretty okay up until the fact that I tried to overclock my memory, and then everything just went to a disaster. But now, everything is working fine again. But anyways, that's about it for this video. But one last thing. If you guys stayed all the way up to the end of this video, I have some an announcement to make, and that is that I am doing a giveaway of an Xbox Game Pass for 3 months. So basically, when I bought my PC from Micro Center, they gave me 2 3-month Xbox Game Pass codes, and I'm using one for myself, but I'm also giving one away. So if you want to enter for the Xbox Game Pass giveaway, then all you have to do is just subscribe and comment down in the description below saying that you want the Xbox Game Pass. And I'll be announcing the winners for the giveaway in 1 to 2 weeks. So make sure to stay tuned and get ready for all my future uploads. But anyways, that's about it for this video. If you enjoyed, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. But this is Andy, and peace.